Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to Ryan W. and Marika K. Thank you for using my Tesla referral link and congratulations on your new Teslas. Pilot put out a new press release today about a new partnership with Tesla, which, fun fact, is the nation's largest operator of travel centers. And this partnership is to install Tesla semi-chargers. The stations will be built at select Pilot locations along I-5, I-10, and several major corridors. The first sites are expected to open summer 2026. And construction of these Tesla semi-chargers will begin the first half of this year at select locations across California, Georgia, Nevada, New Mexico, and Texas. Each location will host 4 to 8 charging stalls and will leverage Tesla's V4 cabinet charging tech, delivering up to that 1.2 megawatts of power at each stall. The network will initially focus on providing charging infrastructure for Tesla semi-trucks, but in the future, it may be expanded to be compatible with heavy-duty EVs from other manufacturers. Tesla said the majority of a semi-truck's 500-mile range can be recovered in a 30-minute charging session, matching a normal mandated break period for professional drivers. So great news to hear that Tesla is going to have a very strong partner building out the semi-charging network across the country. And finally, with this partnership, the East Coast is set to get some locations as well. Phil Truby said it's interesting that only Tesla semis will be able to use them. Tesla uses the MCS plug standard, so in theory, any other EV that can use MCS should be compatible. Dan Priestley from Tesla replied to that, saying other EVs will be able to use these, assuming they're equipped with MCS, and ensure interoperability with charging equipment. So the focus for now is, of course, on the Tesla Semi, because that's what's entering production and is expected to hit high volume before anybody else. But if and when other companies put their electric semis on the road with MCS, they will be able to use these as well. I'm sure many of you somewhat understand the scale of Pilot, but they serve about 1.2 million guests every day across over 900 locations in 44 states and 5 Canadian provinces. And of course, those routes mentioned, the I-5 and I-10, are not arbitrary. Those are very critical routes for early adopters of the Tesla Semi like PepsiCo. And frankly, outside of producing the Semi itself, the biggest hurdle right now by far for electric Semi adoption is very clearly the lack of public, reliable, ubiquitous Semi charging. And once again, Tesla being the first mover here is going to get access to all of the prime real estate in the highest demand areas. And now with Pilot announcing this partnership publicly, you would expect some other big name customers to also be looking to Tesla for something similar as well. And listen, I know right now everyone is enthralled with the Cybercab and Optimus and unsupervised for the fleet, but do not forget about unsupervised on the Tesla Semi. It'll be another few years before this becomes a reality, but the fact is, globally, this really is another trillion-dollar business line for Tesla that most people right now have forgotten about and are overlooking. And last week, Tesla Charging shared a new supercharger location went up in Taylorsville, Utah. But it's a little extra exciting because Max from Tesla said this one goes to 500 kilowatts powered by the V4 cabinet. So finally, we're getting some of these true V4 sites live out in the wild. Max from Tesla commented on the slow rollout, saying Giga New York line is spooling up and folks are working weekends. Slow at first, then all at once. The V4 cabinet is an awesome product. So as of now, there's only 2 or 3 true V4 sites live in the wild, but hopefully over the next few weeks, that number rises quickly. Now, of course, the primary benefits of these true V4 sites will be for Cybertruck up to 500 kilowatt speeds and the Semi at 1.2 megawatts. The sexy lineup fleet will still be stuck around 250 kilowatts. But really, one of the bigger points here is that the V4 cabinets are said to be cheaper to deploy than the outgoing V3 or 3.5 sites. And remember, a big part of that is because each V4 cabinet will support 8 stalls, which was up from only 4 stalls previously. Meaning you can have the number of cabinets for the same number of stalls. And they'll have roughly a 3 times higher power density, which yes, will be paired with faster deployments overall. Today we had Obi, which is an app that aggregates aggregates real-time pricing and pickup times for many different ride-hailing services, just published a new report. And now, unlike the report from last year, Tesla is in the mix. The data covers November 27th last year to January 1st this year. And during that time, it covered 94,348 rides from Waymo, Tesla, Uber, and Lyft. The transparent bars on the left are for March and April, and the solid bars on the right are for November and December, which means Lyft's pricing has gone up, Uber's pricing has gone up, Waymo's has come down, and Tesla's just getting started. But the takeaway, Tesla's average price per ride is currently coming in right around $7.50. Whereas Waymo is right around $20, Uber is right around $17, and Lyft sitting at about $16. So based on this data, Tesla is already over 50% cheaper than the competition. So while Tesla's robotaxis are significantly less, the other side of the coin is that the wait times are some of the longest in the industry. The average price of a Tesla ride hail, they should say in San Francisco, they can't use robotaxi there, was $8.17 and rarely exceeded $10 per trip. And they said that's way cheaper than the next cheapest option, which was Lyft at $15.47 per ride. Tesla was averaging $1.99 per kilometer, the lowest figure of that category Obi had ever seen in its reporting. Compare that to Waymo at $5.72 per kilometer. They said Waymo is now an average of 12.7% more expensive than Uber and 27.3% more expensive than Lyft. They did call out these numbers are not true apples to apples comparisons. I think most of us here understand that. Tesla's fleet size is still limited, only operating in a few cities. But all of this will pose another question that Wall Street is certainly asking: how long can Tesla keep up this aggressive pricing? And I'd say for a company with $40 billion on the balance sheet and continually generating positive free cash flow, they can keep it up for quite a while. And then for the wait times, Tesla's average was 15.3 minutes, considerably higher than the competition. And Waymo's average was 5.7 minutes. Obi surveyed 2,000 people from California, Nevada, Texas, and Arizona. The enthusiasm and comfortability with robotaxis has been increasing a lot. The last survey, only 35% were comfortable. That number has now jumped to 63%. And 45% of those respondents cited the high costs for the competition as a concern. But despite those encouraging numbers, over 50% of respondents still cited safety as a persistent worry, and 47% said they're concerned about possible safety failures. So those are just some numbers on trends that we've already known about anecdotally for months. Anecdotes that have been shared by people like George, who said a 7-minute wait, it was $1.95 for a robotaxi ride compared to $13 for Uber. And for the robotaxi service in Austin over the weekend where the winter storm rolled through, Tesla did shut down operations around 1 p.m. and then opened it back up later that night around 8:30. But then David said the service has been offline since that last ride, and to confirm, Waymo has been offline longer. And that post was as of Sunday morning. And important data point, David took 39 robotaxi rides in Austin the past few days, and 0 of them were unsupervised. So clearly, most of the fleet is still indeed supervised. But as of Sunday afternoon, the service was back open despite the very icy ice rink-like conditions. And David did say even though Tesla shut down the robotaxi service for a few hours over the weekend, robotaxis were still out on the roads, likely collecting data. And there's been a lot of controversy about if these robotaxi Model Ys are actually stock. We know that technically they're not. We've known about the GPS and extra communications hardware to connect to the remote operations in the back of the vehicle. But there have been some other changes now too, as the side repeater cameras now have automatic washers. And yes, I would guess that in time, this feature will roll out to the general fleet as well. But already on the customer fleet, we have some other hardware changes too.
If you have a new Model Y Performance and you want to figure out how to tell if you have hardware 4.5, there's this little pull tab right here. Just pull it down, and if you look right in here, you'll see the label. And it should say hardware 4.5.
The past few days, there's been a lot of speculation that this hardware 4.5 is bringing a third system-on-chip setup. People are talking about things like boosting compute power and improving redundancy. But for now, as far as I can tell, that is just speculation. I know Green the Only has seen things in the firmware in the past that would hint that's a possibility, but personally, I'm not yet ready to say that there's a third system-on-chip for these cars with hardware 4.5 that are now shipping to customers. And this photo was shared of the additional vehicle information for one of these vehicles with hardware 4.5. But in the car, it's still saying FSD computer 4, which means so far there really isn't anything customer facing that might be different with this hardware 4.5. I did find this text thread with a Tesla representative. The customer was asking about the manufacturing date for hardware 4.5, which is listed in the parts catalog for $2,300. And the Tesla rep said it looks like those chips were installed on vehicles at the beginning of this month. So it would be safe to say any new build will have the latest hardware 4. But as always with this in the past, we have seen Tesla reps get things wrong and have conflicting information, so you cannot treat this as gospel. And just to confirm, here's that screenshot: car computer, hardware 4.5, unit price $2,300. And there have also been images like this of new Model Ys with a new front camera housing on the windshield, which has a different enclosure than the outgoing models, which we're thinking will help with the off-gassing, and it's been those vapors that are rising, getting trapped in this housing, leading to condensation and this hazy like film or residue that can sometimes occlude the cameras. So obviously with this new design that is shipping on customer vehicles now, this new housing is very similar to what we've seen on the Cybercab and what we're seeing in many Robotaxi builds. And the idea is that it's going to block this cabin air exchange and ultimately prevent those vapors from getting into the enclosure. So the customer fleet right now is getting some of these Robotaxi updates, but not all. We still have not seen any side repeater camera washers on the customer fleet. And per the usual, I could speculate about what hardware 4.5 is going to bring, but right now we just don't know exactly what it's connected to. So let me be very clear here. This whole hardware 4.5 could be nothing more than just some minor hardware changes that ultimately are just cost savings for Tesla and don't really change anything about the car for the customer. And for whatever it's worth, so far most of these hardware 4.5s have been in Model Y performance vehicles. So just know right now globally, Tesla is in the midst of a decent amount of hardware changes for both the Robotaxi and customer fleet. We now have all Model Y trims from Giga Berlin that do officially come with a bigger 16-inch QHD screen, including the standard Model Y. But so far in the US, the standard Model Y is stuck with a 15.4-inch screen. And yes, I'd be comfortable saying whether it's days, weeks, or months, eventually that will change in the US. Meaning in the US sometime soon, I would expect the Model Y standard to get the bigger 16-inch screen too. And Tesla has also been updating the interior ambient light strips from a silver color now to a gray black color. And I know that for the average person, these changes don't mean that much, but for people like you and I, who like being in the weeds and following all of this tech stuff, this is why I would say be cautious buying a Tesla right now. Clearly, Tesla is in the process of figuring out exactly what hardware is going to be needed to get to unsupervised. And just like it always does, it's not going to roll out everything at once because we have to remember the supply chains need time to spin up. So factory by factory, model by model, we'll start to see all of these changes. And I know it can be frustrating as a Tesla owner. I myself have an AI4 car, but I have no front bumper camera. I have the gray interior headliner. I have the outdated front camera housing and so on. But with all that said, my hope is that once Tesla knows exactly what is needed for unsupervised, then a lot of these micro changes like this will have largely been figured out. And not that Tesla will get stagnant, but flurries of changes like this that we can't make full sense of, I think will be less likely. So I'll certainly keep a close eye on what's going on with hardware 4.5 and all of these changes to separate what's just opinion and speculation and what's fact. At this point, I really hope all of you know who Alex Honnold is. If not, please check out his Netflix special Taipei 101 and then do not miss the documentary Free Solo. It's some of the most fascinating and inspiring stuff you'll see. And I'll just say it, I think what Alex did on El Capitan is the most impressive athletic performance maybe ever. It's at least in the conversation when you consider what it took mentally and physically. It's just nuts. And guess what? Alex has said that AG1 is a part of his healthy morning routine. He said, quote, "It helps me feel generally well, sick less often, fewer stomach issues, etc." And this man plays the game at the highest level, so if AG1 is his go-to, then I'm quite encouraged about the 75 plus quality vitamins, minerals, and nutrients being in my routine as well. So don't just take it from me, but there are reasons why it's my multivitamin, probiotic support, superfoods, stress adaptogens, and immune and cognitive support in one daily scoop, now with different flavors. It's a quick, easy way to get my nutritional baseline. So if you want to support the channel in this way, you may not have that opportunity much longer. No promises, but you can use my link below to get a free AG1 flavor sampler and AGZ sampler to try all the flavors, plus a free vitamin D3 K2 and AG1 welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription order. It's drinkag1.com/electrified, or you can use the QR code on the screen. Tesla has told workers during a town hall recently that it plans to begin collecting data to train Optimus at the Austin Gigafactory. Tesla is looking to train Optimus how to operate in the Texas facility, adding it was targeting a February start date. The Optimus data collectors in Fremont are typically kept separate from the general factory workers to avoid interfering with output. And there, in Fremont, the data collectors have recorded themselves organizing vehicle parts and working on conveyor belts. The videos are then used to teach Optimus how to mimic the same movements. Full disclosure, this article is from Business Insider, but they said Tesla's Optimus trainers are outfitted with large helmets with cameras that point in several directions. The helmet is attached to a heavy backpack, which can be unwieldy at times. Tesla has experimented with a lighter fanny pack setup, but it's unclear if Tesla will use that in the factory data collection. The town hall also covered non-Optimus developments. The company is working on updating several production lines, and construction will continue to be ongoing at the factory. Naturally, I would love to think that Tesla will be getting Optimus ready to train on the new unboxed Cybercab manufacturing lines. Obviously not so they're ready to start in April when Cybercab production starts, but for whenever the time comes and Optimus is ready, whether it's later this year or into 2027. We've talked a lot in the past about how Optimus should be well suited to work on this new unboxed manufacturing method. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what Tesla will start training for in February. As we know, just 2 months out, Tesla is definitely gearing up for Cybercab production in Austin. Now, just briefly on the Autopilot and FSD situation, people have been talking about it for a few days. Everyone wants to know, if you spend $8,000 on FSD outright right now, will that lock you in for unsupervised when it ships? A Tesla rep said in this conversation that was shared, when the unsupervised version becomes available, you will not be charged any additional fee for that upgrade if you've paid the $8,000 for FSD already. But again, just because one Tesla rep said it does not make it a fact. And further, would a chat like this be legally binding in the future? I'm not sure. Here's my main concern with all of this. I think most people are thinking, well, if I pay for FSD now, I'll have unsupervised for the life of that vehicle. And maybe that's the case, but my question becomes, what about on the insurance side? Because don't forget, when unsupervised ships, that actually means Tesla is taking the liability. And for a long time, I've thought Tesla would be the company to self-insure unsupervised. So do we really think Tesla is going to take on all of that insurance liability for free with unsupervised? So all I'm saying is that going from supervised to unsupervised brings with it a major liability shift, and I don't think that's going to be free. And who knows, maybe it's as simple as you do get access to unsupervised without paying more, but then you have to pay extra for the insurance aspect. And the only rational reason I can think of why Tesla has not just come out and given everybody more clarity on the situation is is because Tesla itself doesn't yet have the clarity it needs. They're not exactly sure how all of this is going to play out or on what timeline, which is why Elon said the $99 a month for supervised FSD will rise as FSD's capabilities improve. The massive value jump is when you can be on your phone or sleeping for the entire ride, which is unsupervised FSD. And to be clear, Elon was talking about a massive value jump, not necessarily a massive cost jump to go to unsupervised. So frankly, right now, it's about as clear as mud how all of this will play out. And on Tesla's choice to remove Autopilot in the US and Canada and just leave traffic-aware cruise control as the base ADAS, the term Autopilot has been abused and misunderstood and conflated with FSD for a long time. There were legal actions pending against Tesla in California if they didn't stop using the Autopilot name, and there were many Tesla customers that thought they were using FSD when in reality they were using Autopilot. Ultimately, I think it's far too early to jump to conclusions about what Tesla is going to have as standard ADAS features. It's a fluid situation. Tesla's figuring things out. It's going to continually test the market for elasticity. And so it's hard to do, but we have to give Tesla some time to sort through what it's going to do. And just a reminder for now, the last day to buy FSD outright is February 14th. And the only other thing I'll say, because I get a lot of questions about this, my biggest concern with buying FSD is that it's still tied to the VIN. Meaning if God forbid you were to get in an accident beyond just minor repairs, basically that $8,000 goes up in smoke. Whereas if it was tied to your personal account, giving you one license to use on one car, that would give me and a lot of other people a lot more peace of mind. And I will say, I think Tesla is failing miserably in the communication department on all of this. So many people are just not going to make a decision because they don't have enough data or surety about what they're actually buying and how this will work. And like I said, Tesla might not have all of the answers itself, but don't go changing all of these things until you do. And don't give people timelines and shot clocks without giving them the data they need to make a good decision. There's been a lot of talk about this new kill switch that's coming in all of these cars. But the truth is, back in 2021, Congress passed a bill that was called the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And one part of that, Section 24220, said that car makers had to put in special tech in new cars to stop people from driving if they were drunk or impaired or drowsy. So if the cameras or sensors thought you weren't capable, then maybe it wouldn't let the car start, or would force it to slow down and so on. Well, last week, the House of Representatives voted to basically stop that part of the bill. But the vote failed, so ultimately nothing has changed. Plenty of people were on social media saying the government's now putting these kill switches in cars, meaning it can stop your car if you go somewhere it doesn't want you to. And I'm not even sharing my opinion here. I'm just saying that ultimately nothing has changed. That rule from 2021 is simply staying in place as it was. So ultimately, it's still going to fall in NHTSA's hands. They're the ones that have to figure out exactly how they're going to implement this new technology. And guess what? They were supposed to be done with that by the end of 2024, but fancy that, they're running late. The thought is maybe they figure out the rules toward the end of this year and then it starts being implemented into new car models around 2027. So the truth is we have no idea how NHTSA will actually implement this. But for now, I just wanted to make it clear this isn't really some overarching kill switch where the government will just sit there, watch you driving around and push a button and then your car stops and you're out of luck. And who knows, given the political landscape, anything is possible in the future, but I'm just saying we are not there yet. And the big elephant in the room, autonomy, is certainly going to change how and why these things need to be implemented, if at all. Hyundai Motor recently did some testing of different autonomous systems, one of which was the Atria AI, its own autonomous project. And Hyundai's Advanced Vehicle Platform AVP division gave a score of 25 out of 100 to its own Atria AI in terms of technological sophistication. Tesla's autonomous tech scored 90 out of 100, Huawei was 70, Mobileye 50, and Momenta was at 50. And there are voices within the company that want Hyundai Motor to retain the Atria AI brand while using Alpamayo as its foundation model. AKA, let's tell the world we've developed our own thing, but behind the scenes we're really using the solution from NVIDIA. Meanwhile, they're saying because of this evaluation, Hyundai could give up the project altogether and instead use NVIDIA's Alpamayo. So just one more anecdote that Legacy Auto is still completely clueless on what it needs to do with FSD. company. Eric, the lead engineer for Cybercab, said there are dozens of Cybercab testings around the country today, ubiquitous everywhere as we scale. That sharing a post from the Robotaxi account where the Cybercab was testing in Alaska. Eric said the ingress and egress will be better on this product than regular vehicles, even in tight spaces. The width of the car relative to standard parking spaces, the hinge axis pulling the lower door out as it opens for more foot and leg space, and the power function. In an upcoming Tesla software update, there's a new feature. Charging can now be stopped and the charge cable released by pulling and holding the rear left door handle for 3 seconds, provided the vehicle is unlocked or a recognized key is nearby. So Europe has had this one for a while, but it'll be new to North America. I'm not sure what to make of this one, definitely a rumor for now, but Ming said Tesla China is expected to debut a new Model YL Plus in Q2 or Q3 of this year, and they're saying it'll have an 88 kilowatt hour battery pack, which would be compared to the 82 kilowatt hour pack on the current Model YL. Further than that, we really don't know what else would be different with this trim, and this is one of those accounts that sometimes gets things right and other times not so much, so we'll just have to wait and see. Tesla's now sending out FSD 14.2.2.4 to the initial waves of customers. Figure shared some new videos today about its Helix 2, saying it's the most powerful model to date. It's using the whole body to do dishes end to end, and it's fully autonomous. They touted long horizon loco manipulation, meaning it performs continuous multi-minute tasks that demand the full integration of locomotion dexterity and sensing. Helix O2's tactile sensing and palm cameras unlock manipulation tasks beyond pure vision-based policies. They said we demonstrate 4 tasks at the frontier of multi-fingered dexterity, to which I would say until Tesla releases its demo of Optimus V3. Brett Adcock said this has been a year-long effort to realign our AI stack to work on long time horizons and complex manipulation and locomotion tasks. The real breakthrough that Figure is touting here is how, to date, a lot of humanoids will be told to do a simple short task. Grab one thing, walk here, put this apple in the basket, put this dish in the dishwasher, and so on. But here, Helix O2 is showing it can do a full 4-minute chore completely by itself, meaning you tell it what to do and then on its own, according to Figure, it goes to the dishwasher, opens it, takes out dishes one by one, carries them across the kitchen, puts them away, loads up the dishwasher, and then starts the machine, all without any human intervention. And if you see in the video, there is one point where it actually uses its hip to close a drawer or its foot to lift the dishwasher door when the hands are full. And the videos of the dexterity where it's unscrewing a bottle cap and picking out a pill out of a medicine box, pushing 5 ml out of a syringe, and grabbing small pieces out of a messy pile. So in short, the blog post that Figure also put out is really talking about how now Figure can see and feel, walk, grab, balance, and correct its own errors all in one smooth continuous operation for a few minutes at a time. And yes, I know the robot's doing things slowly, but again, it's a robot, it's very early, and that's to be expected. And I have to say, just watching the videos and taking what Figure is saying at face value, and I'm pretty impressed. But as always, we have to balance what we're seeing here with what Elon said, that Optimus is going to be 100 times harder than FSD, and the fact that ARK Invest said humanoids will be 200,000 times harder than autonomous driving. So I'll let you balance all of that on your own. I do really think it's awesome progress, but ultimately you need to zoom out and understand that right now the breakthrough is a humanoid doing things on its own for a few minutes. And of course I'm biased, but I will say this makes me even more excited for what Tesla is going to debut, hopefully in a few months. And GM just said that it will end production of the Chevy Bolt EV at its plant in Kansas, replacing the EV with gas-powered models. The company confirmed production of the 2027 Chevy Bolt EV will conclude in about 18 months, shortly after the model arrives at dealerships. So that Kansas factory is now shifting to making combustion vehicles, as GM continues to make a significant pivot to reassess demand for EVs. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is Tesla's earnings day. Hope you all enjoy it. Ahead of that, Elon just said space-based industries will vastly exceed the value of all of Earth, given that you could harness roughly 100,000 times more energy than Earth and still be using less than a millionth of the sun's energy. He then said also, due to autonomy, Tesla is worth more than the rest of the auto industry. That's before Optimus reaches scale production and increases Earth GDP by an order of magnitude. So really, the question now is, can you be patient for long enough? Tesla stock closed the day at $430.90, down 0.99%, while the NDX was up 0.88%. It was an incredibly low volume day, trading 46% below the average. No surprise though, as everybody waits to see what happens tomorrow. Don't forget, for those interested, check out AG1 linked below. As I mentioned, no promises, but it might be one of the last chances to support Electrified in that way. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters.